In 1964, the United States entered the Vietnam War. The main reason was to stop the spread of communism in Southeast Asia. But there were other reasons too, like protecting U.S. economic interests, dealing with national fears about losing influence in the region, and making moves based on global strategy. The U.S. believed that if Vietnam fell to communism, other nearby countries would follow. So, they got involved, sending thousands of soldiers into the thick, dangerous jungles of Vietnam. But there was more happening in those jungles than just war. While American forces and the Communist Viet Cong and North Vietnamese troops were fighting each other, something else was moving through the trees, something strange. Both sides began reporting sightings of a creature that didn't belong to any known species. It was big, walked on two legs, and looked part human, part ape. It didn't matter what side you were on. U.S. soldiers, Viet Cong fighters, and local villagers all had stories about this mysterious being. They were not enemies with each other in those moments. They were just people facing something unknown. What was this creature? Could it have been real, or was it just a story born from fear and confusion in the jungle? Many of the locals believed in it. In Vietnam, they called it Ngoi Rung, which means forest people. In Cambodia, it was known as Tek Tek. People in Laos, Thailand, and other nearby areas had similar names for it. The stories were alike. The creature was large, covered in reddish or grayish hair, and walked upright like a man. It was often described as frightening and dangerous, sometimes even eating people. Some even claimed it made loud, eerie howls at night, or that it bit itself when hungry. But perhaps the most disturbing part of the legend is what some said the creature could do. It could mimic human voices. Imagine being alone in the jungle and hearing a familiar voice calling your name. You follow it, thinking it's a friend or fellow soldier, only to realize too late that it's something else. This story matches old legends from other parts of the world. In India, there's a tale of a demon called the Rakshasa. It can shapeshift and pretend to be someone you trust, just to get close enough to attack. This kind of creature isn't just a part of Southeast Asian folklore. All over the world, cultures tell stories of wild, human-like beings living in remote places. In North America, there's Bigfoot, or Sasquatch. In the Himalayas, people speak of the Yeti, or abominable snowman. In Australia, there's the Yowie. China has the Yeren. Indonesia has the Orang Pendek. Even in Europe, there are tales of strange creatures like the Vrikolaka in Finland, which is sometimes described like a werewolf. It seems that no matter where people live, they imagine that something mysterious is living just beyond the edge of the known world. Many of these creatures have similar traits. They are large, strong, covered in hair, and able to walk on two legs. Some are peaceful, others are dangerous. Often they live deep in forests or mountains, far from human settlements. What's interesting is how similar all these stories are, even though they come from completely different places. This raises a big question. Are these just myths, or is there something real behind them? During the Vietnam War, many U.S. soldiers said they saw the Ngoi Rung. One of the most well-known reports came from Army Sergeant Gary Linderer. He served in a long-range patrol unit with the 101st Airborne Division. One day, while moving through the jungle with his team, he said he saw a creature about 5 feet tall with deep-set eyes and long, powerful arms. It stood upright and had broad shoulders. Some of the other soldiers said it was just a rock ape, which are common in the area. But Linderer was sure this wasn't a normal animal. Another soldier, Sergeant Thomas Jenkins, had a different kind of experience. He claimed his platoon was attacked by a group of large apes that threw rocks at them. It wasn't a one-time thing. Reports like these kept coming from American and Vietnamese soldiers. In fact, the sightings were taken so seriously that the communist leadership in Vietnam actually sent scientists to investigate. That's how common these encounters were. These stories continued even after the war. In the late 1960s, a well-known naturalist named John McKinnon explored the jungles of Vietnam and nearby Borneo. He had already discovered many new species of birds and mammals. While in the jungle, he came across strange footprints that didn't match any known animal. Locals said they belonged to a creature called the Batatut or Ujit. names used for wild, human-like beings. McKinnon didn't say for sure that the creature existed, but he did believe that an unknown species could still be hiding in those forests. Another scientist, Dr. Vo Kwai from Hanoi, also found something strange. In 1974, he discovered a large footprint in the forest. It was too big to be human and didn't match any known ape species either. He made a plaster cast of it to study it further. While there was no clear proof that the creature was real, these findings added to the mystery. Sometimes what seems like a myth can turn out to be true. History gives us examples of that. For a long time, people thought the mountain gorilla was just a legend. Stories about large, hairy creatures in Africa were dismissed as folklore. But in 1902, a German explorer named Robert von Behring confirmed that the mountain gorilla was real. More recently, in 1997, a new species of orangutan was discovered in Sumatra, the Batang Toru. These discoveries remind us that the natural world is still full of secrets. So, could the Ngoi Rung be one of those secrets? Some soldiers believed they killed a few of these creatures during the war, but no solid evidence ever turned up. No bodies were recovered, no DNA was collected. And over time, the stories became less common. Many people believe that the war and deforestation may have wiped out most of the population. With the forests shrinking, even if the creatures were real, there might not be many left to find. Still, the legends remain. Books like Very Crazy GI, Strange But True Stories of the Vietnam War by Craig P.J. Jorgensen include some of these accounts. The locals haven't forgotten the stories either. Even today, in some villages, people still believe that something wild and unknown lives deep in the jungle. Still, not everyone is convinced that these sightings point to a real creature. Some experts suggest the stress of combat, isolation, and fear in the unforgiving jungle environment could have caused hallucinations or exaggerated memories. In high-stress situations, the human mind can misinterpret natural sounds or movements as threats, or even shape them into monsters. Others think the reports could have been influenced by local myths, blending into soldiers' imaginations over time. With language barriers and cultural differences, even simple animal encounters might have been misunderstood. But that doesn't explain everything, and the mystery remains unsolved. So what should we believe? Is the Ngoi Rung just another tale passed down through generations, or is it a real creature that science just hasn't caught up with yet? Until there's hard evidence, like bones or clear photos, we may never know for sure. But the stories keep us wondering, and maybe that's the most powerful part of all. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Vietnam's strangest wartime mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Have you heard similar stories? Do you think the Ngoi Rung could be real, or just a legend passed down through fear and folklore? Let us know what you think in the comments below.